Chapter 60. Bentley. People lead me to the basement to analyze this rock. Like before, it's shiny purple, and dusty like it spent centuries on a shelf in a crypt. And said dust is really easy to breathe in. I don't worry about that too much because apparently there have been hundreds of these handled by Penelope and Raleigh, and they're still standing upright. I scan it, and my periodic table identifier doesn't turn up anything. That's a first for me. I knock on it and pick it up. It sounds and feels like the interior is harder and heavier, like a chocolate with a very fatty cream center. I might be crazy, but this rock looks kind of familiar apart from when I saw them in the pyramid. But my memory is too blurry to be sure it isn't playing tricks on me. I once again look more into the pyramid and Empress Catra to see if there's any more info on the net about this rock. After about an hour of tiresome backbone hacking, there's nothing I can find hinting at what the big deal is. It's making me really annoyed. And I bet it's making Murray annoyed too. Or not just annoyed, infuriated. And I don't blame them. Maybe we should just stop this scanning and head out now. Every second my ex can keep getting away with all this, the more we're hurting the guru. He perhaps risked his own life so Sly could escape and bring us this. And to think I ever liked her. She not only betrayed me and the gang by stealing my time machine plans and using them to attempt to erase Sly's family history, but she is also the reason Sly had to fight La Paradox and got lost and was in prison for 3 months and nearly killed us all in the pyramid. And after everything we did for her, I thought I was over her, but I guess I'm not anymore. I might be feeling even angrier than... I cough. I end up in a very big coughing fit. Dimitri comes down to ask if I'm okay. I tell him maybe I just need some fresh air, and when I start to go, I realize something. I now have a faint suspicion. I look back at the rock. I change my scanner for chemicals. As it's analyzing, I then think back at something Sly told me about ancient Egypt, and I have a look inside the Thieves raccoonus. Within 20 minutes, I have something that's having me shaking in my shell. You brought the Thieves raccoonus here? Says Sly. Even risking taking it underwater? Relax, Sly. It's undamaged. And you told me you got it laced with a potion that keeps the pages fresh for centuries. Which actually goes to my announcement. I open up a file on my computer I already had prepared. It's filled with simple JPEGs. I go to one I've highlighted. After Sly, Murray, Carmelita, and I had finished our La Paradox mission, I took pictures of every page of the Thieves raccoonus and filled them accordingly. It was mind-numbing, but I knew this way, if something changed, we know exactly which old information was different. I didn't really think about it after reading through it again and finding nothing on Sly, but I just recently flipped the pages back to Slighton Common. Sly, do you remember the Battle of the Pyramid of Jedefre? How could I forget? I was there just a week ago. No, I mean, do you remember how it was supposed to go, originally? Oh, a light bulb seems to go off in his head. Yes, I actually realized it when I was with Slighton Common. I realized we were doing a heist he'd originally found so successful, he documented it in the book. Allow me to shed some light. I opened the JPEG of the old version of the story I saved on my computer, back when we were doing research into finding Sly through time by locating changes in the original book. After months of corrupt rulings against raccoons, I read, Peely and I have been staging a revolution. But there was a hiccup. Asenath has had her baby. And because of an attempt to torture me, someone sprinkled poison into our food not too long ago. Our baby was struggling to breathe, and I needed something to keep him alive. So following rumors circulating about an invaluable treasure that heals wounds, I snuck into the Pyramid of Jedefre. I intercepted a guard and knocked him out, and then found the treasure. The rocks, says Sly. That was the big treasure. Well, yes and no. We know that about the rocks now. Plus, Sly continues, now I remember. He did say in the first version of the book that he broke into that pyramid the same day Asenath had their son. I guess it was a coincidence Catra also kept her copies of the Thieves Raccoonus-esque books in that pyramid too, So both circumstances, version 1 and 2 of history, called for Slight and Common to go there that day. Right. And it goes on. A potion to cleanse poison. After an intense interrogation by one of Katra's guards I captured, I knew this would heal my son. I took as many as I could. It managed to work. But before I left to give this potion to him, I also saw various rocks being messed with apparently as an ingredient. I was to escape, but then had to run in deeper to avoid capture because many were heading my way. I then found a den full of this supposed treasure. I also grabbed some rocks, but not too many. And I know if this is their main source of income, if this is how they are getting all strong, it is better off destroyed. So I planted Peely's handmade explosives, I snuck out, and I met her up where she had planted some earlier at the pyramid's base above ground. Before that, in order to plant my explosives most effectively, I dug through the treasure to the bottom of the pit, at risk of getting buried by it. Asenath found out a month ago while helping me with a caper that underneath the pyramid of Jedefre is the river of our local well, and so I knew an explosion from below would likely cause quicksand and bury the treasure. I got away with doing this, but I felt very dizzy when I did it, and I admit I still kind of feel that way days later. Some kind of weird thick liquid even got poured on me, and I don't know where it came from. And a guard I know as Pesky challenged me to a fight, but that didn't stop me. We detonated, and I haven't seen that treasure since then, nor has the pyramid been attempted to be fixed up. No one can prove it was us, but thanks to increased tension, I think we may have to run away, at least if we can't keep up this rebellion. I close the document and read from the book now. Here's the updated version. My ancestor and I escaped. The pyramid is out. Katra is financially screwed, and from the looks of it, perhaps politically too. I can write in this journal because Asenath, Peely, Slight and Common II, and I are safe. Katra's going crazy right now and worried about losing her riches, and has guards looking everywhere for us. I expected them to try to be honest like crazy, but to my surprise, they seem to be a little calmer. I overheard one of the guards telling another he felt he can breathe better now. But not every guard is like that. The ones Katra are really pushing are making me think we should leave for a bit. But for now, we're safe. I appreciate what Sly has done, even if he potentially owes me 3 months of my life. I'm glad to hear Slight and Common surviving, says Sly. We should visit him to help, though. When we can. I haven't had time to work on the time machine, and it's back with our van in that garage, but that's not the point. A few things stuck out with me, and one of them was, once you and Slight and Common were able to escape, against all odds the guards relatively calmed down. You'd think they'd want to give revenge for the humiliation, but they didn't show it that way. That was further confirmation of my theory. A theory? Says Dimitri. A theory I made after I looked over this rock, this supposed treasure of Katra's. I did a thorough analysis, and this is unlike anything natural I've ever seen. These rocks are coated in and out, with a mystical kind of hardened, concentrated pure cortisol. Cortisol? Isn't that a hormone? Inquires Thornell. Our adrenal glands are supposed to make it, but somehow these cells are all over this rock inside and out. Cortisol is what those adrenal glands make and release when we are under stress. They put us in the sort of fight or flight state, and apparently inhaling them can really put your natural levels of the drug way out of whack. What would that do exactly? Asks Murray. Make you probably have more anxiety or anger. So these rocks basically create anger fumes? Says Sly. Correct, but there's more to it. I did a scan, and there are 3 main layers to these rocks. I'll show you on my screen. The core is as hard as nails and is practically a gold mine of this drug. And yet, if exposed to oxygen long enough, it will liquefy. Liquefy? Says Thornell. Do you think that was what happened when Slight and Common said he got a little wet somehow down there? That's my theory. The crust, which is the second layer, has its own supply. The main surface, the final one, is delicate. If it rubs or is transported too much, fumes from the second layer are easily transmissible. Sly looks kind of uncertain. Well, back in Egypt, I remember breathing in a bit of those fumes, not knowing what they were. But I didn't feel angry. Understandable. You can get increased levels of cortisol, but that doesn't always mean you'll feel anger. and it doesn't mean you'll feel the effects immediately. But I came to the idea that this rock created anxiety when I got really mad, like out of my character mad while analyzing it. And you felt really mad when you were around the rock too, Murray. Murray scratches his head. Come to think of it, I was feeling quite riled up. So, what, says Carmelita. These rocks have an aggravation agent effective enough for Penelope and Raleigh and the Shadow Order to want them? I suppose so. And Sly saw with his own eyes that they were being melded down in a cauldron. They must be making a new potion out of them. What should we call these rocks? Asks Dimitri. It's not in the groove and boring to keep calling them as is. Something as purple as this man's bow skin and has been stirring a kettle this hot and icy deserves a spotlight accolade. In the last version of the Thievius raccoonus, Slyton Common said he searched further for other samples of this rock to find out the big deal on them, but not being able to find any, he wrote down that he would call them Comium, and dared further Coopers to find the possibility of its existence.